Hello and welcome back to STARNES'S storeroom. So today we're going to be looking at a mannequin dressed in equipment used in Operation Herrick. Now this was part of the global war on terror. This was the operations in Afghanistan. So this was Operation Herrick 9. Now what we've got here is a soldier that was wearing the equipment used during that time period. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the pieces of equipment he's wearing.
Right. Yeah, you see the smoke. Smoke, yeah.
Okay, so the first piece of equipment we're going to be looking at today is the Mark 6A helmet. Now, for a lot of you just think that's just a standard looking British Army Mark 6 helmet, but the Mark 6A does have some differences. And this would have been the helmet used in Operation Herrick 9, as this was between November of 2008 and April of 2009. Okay, so one of the major differences between the Mark 6A and the Mark 6 is the colour of the helmet. The Mark 6A is black, unlike the Mark 6, which was almost always green. And the material is actually different as well. The Mark 6A is actually made out of Kevlar, whilst the older Mark 6 is made out of ballistic nylon. So the Mark 6A actually provides a little bit more protection, around level 2 protection. It's a little bit more comfortable as well. As you can see, it's got a mesh here, which the head sits on, unlike the Mark 6, which is a piece of green cord, so not particularly comfortable. But it also has a lot of the same features as well. It's still got the same chin strap, same padding, so it's a bit of an improvement, really. Okay, so as you can see, this helmet's got a few optional extras on it. It's got a standard British Army Desert Issue helmet cover, which is attached with a drawstring, so these would have been very, very common. It's also got a black helmet band at the bottom, which is used to protect the helmet as well as being able to tuck foliage in, so it's a good thing to have. And we've also got some cat's eyes as well, which help friendly forces know that you're there. So it's a good thing to have. And lastly, it's also got some dust goggles. These are made by ESS, and these were fairly common in Afghanistan, and they're a good thing to have, really, in that sort of environment. So, not long after the initial invasion of Afghanistan, the British Armed Forces started realising that the body armour they were issuing, like enhanced combat body armour, just wasn't providing enough protection. So they started looking into new forms of body armour, such as Kestrel body armour and Osprey body armour. And what you see here is the Osprey body armour. This is Mark II Osprey body armour. It's got various features, some of them good, some of them not so good. The main ones being the two big pockets at the front and back. These were for trauma plates. It's also got Velcro sides, which would fasten the body armor to the user. It's also got stud buttons at the shoulders, which attach it also to the user. And it's also got Powell's loops, which you can attach pouches with, like you can see the radio pouch that's attached to his chest. The front and rear pocket wasn't only for the large trauma plates, these could also hold the much smaller SAPI plates which would be seen in the enhanced combat body armour. It was good being able to choose between the two different sizes of plates. You had increased protection with the larger trauma plate, but with the smaller SAPI plate you had more manoeuvrability, so it was good to be able to have the two options, really, depending on the mission. Okay, so we've got some various other features on the back here. So one of them being these clips, which you can attach the likes of a camelback directly to it. This is a later type camelback, which has a bigger opening, so you can put the likes of ice into it, which keeps the actual camelback cooler, which is something you definitely need in Afghanistan, as it's quite hot, as you can imagine. It's also got some fittings on the side, so you can add pouches. That's a medical pouch, and there's a utility pouch on the other side, so they're good to have. We've also got these stud buttons here. Now, if you don't know, they're to attach brassards. I haven't attached them here, as they didn't often tend to use them. You do see them using them in pictures occasionally, and they were basically protect your sides, which is a good thing to have really, but it does reduce mobility, so that's why we don't have them on here. I should really mention some of the pieces of equipment attached to the body armour. The most noticeable one being the radio pouch with the H4855 radio attached to the Bowman headset, as you can see just there. It's also got twin ammunition pouches, so it's got the L85 magazines in there, 30 round Stanag mags, and he's also wearing a U-back, which was a shirt which was quite commonly used in Afghanistan. It's made out of material that just helps your body breathe a bit better, so definitely a useful item to be wearing. And it also has Velcro on the sleeves, unlike the standard DPM shirts that were being issued originally. And you can put patches on, so what we've got here is a standard ISAF patch used by the British Armed Forces, and that stands for International Security Assistance Force, if you didn't know, not I See Americans Fighting, and that's in Pashtun, I believe. So there's some other pieces as well. We've also got a chem stick, as you can see here, and we've also got a rank slide on the epaulette, which shows he's a staff sergeant. So just a few pieces. A lot of guys tended to keep this absolutely clear, so if you were in the prone position, they haven't got anything stopping you from doing that. Moving down just a little bit, we've also got this desert combat belt, and this can be used to attach the likes of a drop leg holster or various smaller pouches. We haven't got any of those on at the moment, but a lot of guys would have had some sort of equipment attached to it. We've also got some desert combat gloves, warm weather. These were fairly common, however, a lot of guys did tend to replace them with aftermarket gloves, as the fingers tended to bust open after not all that much use. So they'd either just cut the fingers off and use them as fingerless gloves, or just buy a better pair of gloves. And moving down just a little bit more, we've also got these knee pads. These were also replaced fairly often with aftermarket knee pads, but I've kept the issue ones here. And I do hear a lot of veterans say they wish they would have worn some knee pads, as they get a lot of aches now. So it's a good item to wear, really. The trousers this fella's wearing are the standard Desert DPM Soldier 95 trousers. They've got the larger buttons, which you wouldn't have seen earlier on in Afghanistan, as a lot of the uniforms they were wearing were 90s issue equipment. Some of it would have been the same issue equipment that they'd worn in the first Gulf War, with the much more smaller buttons and made out of a little bit more comfortable material. This stuff was said to be slightly less comfortable, and I have noticed that actually myself, wearing it from time to time, so not too great in that respect, really. Moving a little bit further to the bottom now, we've also got the Mindel Desert Fox boots. Now, these are a fairly okay pair of boots, not the best desert boots, but they were one of 3 different issue boots at the time. The idea of them issuing several different types was because people had different feet sizes and shapes, so different boots were required. And these boots are actually manufactured in Germany, so you can imagine the quality would be, not bad, really. And just to the side, we've got the L85A2, which a lot of members of the British Armed Forces were using during the conflict. That's that anyway. So that is the British equipment used in 2008 and 2009 in Operation Herrick. We're going to be looking at other parts of the conflict from various different sides. So I hope you tune in for that one, and I will see you on the next one.